The weather is taking an interesting turn across the United States as we have several different big weather events that are currently happening, and then several that are yet to come as we get closer to the middle of November, including Hurricane Rafael that has entered into the Gulf of Mexico, a huge snow event that is taking place across New Mexico and Colorado, which that snow event could dump as much as 75 inches of snow over the next 48 hours in a few areas, and then also the big fire event that's happening near Los Angeles in California. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be happening across the United States over the next 7 to 10 days. Let's go ahead and begin with what's happening in the Gulf of Mexico, and you'll notice right off the bat, look at this. We have Hurricane Rafael. This was a major hurricane yesterday before making landfall in Cuba, and over the next 12 hours, this actually could make a run at becoming a major hurricane again here in the Gulf of Mexico. You'll notice this isn't even that far away from Florida. It's only about a couple hundred miles to the southwest of Florida. The good news is that this is a pretty compact hurricane, so it's not a large hurricane by any means, and it's also going to be taking a turn to the west where it's expected to completely miss the United States at this point in terms of a landfall location. So that's good news, and over the next few days we'll start to see some gradual weakening as it moves into a more sheared environment in the central Gulf of Mexico, but we'll talk more about that here in just a few minutes. Here's another system that we're watching, a big snow event happening right now across Colorado and as well as New Mexico, and this particular trough is actually going to eject over the Rockies Mountains and eventually bring the threat for severe weather both today and tomorrow to parts of the central and southern plains. And then back over in Los Angeles and surrounding areas, there have been a ton of wildfires there. We had a very rare risk yesterday of an extremely critical situation. There were over a dozen fires that happened, and a lot of them are still blazing on today. Now let's talk more about the weather pattern that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 to 10 days, and we'll check it out with the jet stream. This is what's happening right now. We have that trough that is moving across the Rocky Mountains that's dumping tons of snow over in Colorado and New Mexico. This will also amplify as we go into today, and we're actually going to see a southwesterly flow here in Texas, and that's going to lead to a couple of days here of severe weather both today and tomorrow. We'll talk more about that here in just a moment. And then as we go into the next few days, you'll notice by the weekend that trough is going to eventually move to the northeast. It's actually going to be a negatively tilted trough, but it isn't going to be very strong, so I'm not expecting any significant severe weather outbreaks this weekend. The other thing is there will not be a major moisture pull like we would usually see because of that tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico. So another little key note there for this particular disturbance for the weekend. As we go into next week, things are going to start out quiet, I think. So Monday, Tuesday should be a bit on the quieter side of things, but eventually by the middle and end of the week, we could have another large trough ejection move right over the Rocky Mountains, and we could have our next big storm on the horizon as we get closer to Thursday and to Friday of next week. And then eventually by next weekend, things become more uncertain, but I think we're going to continue to see a lot of these various large storms as we go throughout the next couple of weeks here of November. So what does this mean in terms of what we're going to be seeing on the future radar? Well, let's begin with today and tomorrow. Again, notice all the snow that's going to be falling here back over in Colorado and New Mexico. There is Hurricane Rafael moving to the west. As we go into late Thursday and a Friday, notice that we'll be watching for some severe weather and also heavy rainfall across the central and southern plains, which many areas do need the rainfall with the drought that we're currently seeing. Snow will continue to fall here across, again, Colorado and New Mexico, and it's going to be heavy at times, so it's going to really accumulate pretty quickly. As we go into late Friday into Saturday, there will be another low-end day, I think, for at least a couple of severe storms from Kansas and Missouri back into Texas. It's a very low-end risk. I'm not expecting anything major either today or tomorrow. Eventually, as we go into late Saturday into Sunday, this continues to move into the Ohio Valley, and look at this, guys. Ohio and West Virginia at least has some good news here as we go into Saturday into Sunday, that there will be some rain in those areas. And for a reminder there's an exceptional drought there. It's the highest level tier drought that you can get, and so areas like Ohio and West Virginia desperately need rainfall. Also to point out, Rafael will start to weaken out as it really just sits there in the central Gulf of Mexico. Some tropical showers may be possible in Louisiana, but as of now, we're not expecting a landfall anymore in the United States. The next big storm would be sometime around Wednesday or Thursday of next week. Right now, the GFS model has this going right through the Midwest, and if this does actually end up happening, we could see maybe some severe weather in the Ohio Valley. I'd say it's a low chance, though, and perhaps some snow back over in the upper Midwest. But again, the specific details do still remain pretty uncertain. Now, here's the big talk over the last 24 hours is the amount of snow that is falling in Colorado and also back over New Mexico. Look at how much snow is going to be penetrating, especially along the Colorado and New Mexico border. There will be some areas today and tomorrow combined that pick up upwards of 75 inches of snowfall. It is a crazy numbered here. And then as we go later into Thursday night into Friday morning, notice how there will be plenty of rain on the north and east side of this trough that is going to aid into some of the drought issues that we have right now. So Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas picking up on some beneficial rainfall, but that also could lead to some localized flooding. So that's another problem to watch for. But again, look how much snow is going to keep falling even into Friday night. You'll notice that the HRRR model right now is indicating that we are going to see a significant snow event. Again, a lot of areas anywhere that I just circled will see anywhere from 2 to perhaps even upwards of 5 or 6 feet of snowfall. There are a couple of isolated locations that will have as much as 70 to 75 inches of snow. The peak that I'm seeing here on the HRRR, a very localized area at nearly 80 inches of snowfall. And again, that's pretty crazy even for the Rocky Mountain region here back over in the high plains for areas like Colorado and New Mexico. Unfortunately, if you want snow in Oklahoma or Kansas, you're going to have to go to the very far western side of the state, and even then it could be a bit more of a slushy snowfall in those areas. Now, in terms of temperatures over the next couple of weeks, things are going to be pretty much the same as they have been. Below average temperatures back over in the Four Corner states, above average temperatures basically for the entire Midwest and the Ohio Valley. There will be a small decrease in temperatures over in the Ohio Valley and Midwest as we get to the tail end of the weekend and into early next week, but it's not going to be very noticeable in general. And then again, that heat is just going to build as we go into the middle and as well as the end of next week. And just look at this large warm air mass. Again, we're not expecting right now record-breaking high temperatures, so at least for most of the country. There could be some isolated spots that have that happen, but again, the good news is that we're not really dealing with something like that. And then eventually, as we go into next weekend, which again is still over 7 days out from now, it still looks like it's going to be staying above average. So for the time being, there are no Arctic blasts on the horizon or any sort of big cold blasts. And the Climate Prediction Center is on board with this forecast where above average temperatures are expected anywhere east of the Rocky Mountains, and then below average temperatures are likely across areas west of the Rocky Mountains. So good news there if you're looking forward to below average temperatures in terms of cooler weather for the fall. And then above average precipitation is expected for the majority of the United States over the next 7 to 10 days, again primarily from Tuesday of next week until Saturday of the following weekend. You don't see something like that very often, by the way, where almost the entire country has a slightly higher likelihood to see above average rainfall. And there is a risk of severe weather over the next couple of days, beginning with today, which is tossing trampolines on tall trees Thursday. We do have a slight risk for severe weather back over in West Texas, and as well as a marginal threat that does extend back closer to Dallas and Fort Worth. The main concern for today will be damaging winds and hail. There may also be an isolated tornado, perhaps back over near Midland, Texas, so have a tornado action plan in place ready to go. As we go into tomorrow, which is Flying Fences Friday, we have yet again another marginal threat for severe weather with also a low-end tornado risk back over near Dallas and Fort Worth and just south of there back through about Waco. There is a low chance that we could go live tomorrow due to the population density, so if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and click the bell icon down below so you're notified if we do go live. And this is the last thing I want to touch on is Hurricane Rafael. Again, notice that it is just to the southwest of Florida and it is continuing to move to the northwest and west. So again, if you're in Florida, just some minor impacts over the next few hours along the coastal regions, and then things will be basically winding down in terms of at least any tropical storm force impacts that you might be seeing. Aside from that, just a lot of moisture, showers, thunderstorms, rip currents elevated back over along the west coast. This is the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center, and again, notice right now it is expected to continue its westerly path as a Category 2 hurricane, potentially making major hurricane status sometime today. Again, as of right now, at least at the time I'm recording this forecast, it is not a major hurricane, but it could make a run at that today. Eventually, as we go into Thursday into Friday, it will still be a hurricane probably all the way until Saturday night, and then eventually by Sunday into Monday, wind shear picks up, and then this will eventually be a tropical storm, and it will be sitting probably somewhere off the coast of Mexico, Texas, and as well as Louisiana, but again, it should stay well away from the United States to avoid, again, any major impacts. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.